On their 20th wedding anniversary, in front of friends and family, her husband smugly announced that he wanted a younger woman and demanded she leave the apartment the next day, forgetting it was actually hers. His mother watched proudly, believing her son had finally put his wife in her place. But then, with grace and quiet power, she rose from her seat, took the microphone and said, "That's perfect, because tomorrow I'm selling my apartment, the one you've been living in rent-free for 20 years, and moving on with someone who actually knows what love and loyalty mean." The room fell silent as her husband's pride crumbled and his mother's smirk vanished. "Hi, my beautiful family. Welcome back to Mr. Peter Stories. May the Almighty surround your life with blessings that never fade and love that never ends. May your hearts stay calm in every storm, your homes be filled with laughter, and your spirits shine brighter than the dawn. May every woman rise in grace and power, every man walk with humility and courage, and every child carry a light that warms every soul they meet. I pray that peace follows you wherever you go, that healing touches every wound, and that success greets you in every effort. May you never feel alone, for God's love will always hold you close, and my prayers will always rise for you, my family. If your heart is true, like the video. If your love is real, write, "I am with Mr. Peter." The chandelier crystals catch the light like frozen tears, and Nosa Edward has no idea she's about to become a ghost in her own life. The ballroom glows with warmth, 200 candles flickering against gold-papered walls, champagne flowing like promises, laughter rising and falling like waves. Nosa's dress is the color of fresh cream, expensive silk that whispers against her skin. The pearl necklace Rich gave her this morning sits heavy against her throat, the card still tucked in her clutch, "To my forever." She stands beside her husband, watching their daughter Tamsin glow at the microphone. The girl is radiant in emerald green, her father's eyes but her mother's grace. "My parents taught me what real love looks like," Tamsin says, her voice clear and strong. "They taught me that marriage isn't just romance, it's partnership, sacrifice, choosing each other every single day. When I find love, I want exactly what they have." The crowd applauds. Nosa reaches for Rich's hand, and he squeezes back, his thumb tracing circles on her palm, the way he's done for 2 decades. She thinks, "We made it. 20 years and we're still standing, still solid, still us." Their son Brody takes the microphone next. He's tall like his father, commanding the room with easy confidence. "My dad showed me how to treat women with respect, how to be a man of integrity, how to keep your word even when it's hard." His voice cracks slightly. "Mom, Dad, you're my heroes. Thank you for showing me what forever looks like." Nosa's eyes burn with happy tears. Rich pulls her close, kisses her temple. "We did good," he whispers against her skin. "We did," she agrees. The speeches end. Dinner is cleared. The dance floor opens, and Nosa moves through the crowd, accepting congratulations, hugging old friends, laughing with her sister Adeyemi, who flew in from across the country. "You look happy," Adeyemi says, studying her face. "I am happy," Nosa replies, and it's true. After 20 years, she still loves this man, still wants him, still chooses him. "Good," Adeyemi says, but something in her voice sounds strange, tight, before Nosa can ask. Rich is there, guiding her to the center of the room. "Speech time," he announces, and someone hands him a microphone. The crowd quiets. Faces turn toward them, expectant and warm. Rich raises his champagne glass, and Nosa raises hers. Preparing for the toast they rehearsed. Something sweet about growing old together. About love deepening with time. Rich clears his throat, smiles, and then his words slice through the air like a blade through silk. 20 years is enough. Nosa doesn't understand. She's still smiling, still holding her glass, still thinking this is part of some joke she doesn't yet understand. "I want someone younger," Rich continues, his voice steady and clear. "Get out of the apartment tomorrow." The glass slips from her hand. It shatters against the marble floor, champagne and blood mixing together because a shard has sliced her palm open, but she doesn't feel pain. She doesn't feel anything except a strange, floating sensation, like her soul is separating from her body. The room erupts in gasps and confused murmurs. Someone screams. But Nosa can't look away from Rich's face because he's not joking. His expression is calm, resolved. This isn't a mistake. This isn't temporary insanity. This is planned. Her eyes find his mother across the room. Imogene, the woman Nosa bathed during chemotherapy when cancer ravaged her body. The woman Nosa fed through nausea, whose bedpans Nosa emptied, whose tears Nosa wiped away during the darkest nights. The woman Nosa loved like her own mother. Imogene is smiling, not sympathetic, not shocked. Smiling with satisfaction, with triumph, like she's watching something she's waited years to see. Movement catches Nosa's attention. A young woman stands from a back table, blonde, barely more than a girl, wearing a dress cut too low, and a bracelet that makes Nosa's vision blur because she recognizes it. Her grandmother's bracelet, the one that went missing from her jewelry box months ago. The girl looks terrified now, her face draining of color, but she's wearing the bracelet, and that means... Nosa's knees nearly buckle. She steadies herself against a nearby table, her bleeding hand leaving marks on the white tablecloth. But the worst betrayal is still coming. She finds her son in the crowd. Brody, her baby boy, the child she carried, birthed, nursed, raised. The young man who just called his father a man of integrity. His face shows no shock, no surprise, just guilt. Raw, terrible guilt. Brody? Her voice sounds broken even to her own ears. Brody, did you... I'm sorry. The words tumble from his mouth. Mom, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. You knew. She can barely form the words. You knew. Lardy, he made me promise. Brody is backing away, shaking his head like he's trying to shake off his own skin. He said it would kill you if you found out. He said I was protecting you. I didn't know what to do. A sound cuts through everything else, inhuman, a scream that's more animal than human, high-pitched and agonized. Tamsin. The girl collapses, her body hitting the floor hard. Her chest heaves, gasping for air that won't come. Her hands claw at her throat, her face turning red, then purple. She's hyperventilating. Someone shouts. People rush toward her, but Nosa gets there first, dropping to her knees, gathering her daughter in her arms. Breathe, baby. Breathe with me. In and out. In and out. But Tamsin can't breathe. She's choking on air, choking on betrayal, drowning in the wreckage of everything she believed. I found them. The words explode from Tamsin's mouth between gasps. 3 months ago. In my room, in my bed. Her eyes are wild, unseeing. I came home early and they were... She vomits. Right there on the ballroom floor, her body rejecting everything, the food, the lies, the image burned into her brain. Paramedics appear. Someone must have called them. They try to take Tamsin, but she clings to Nosa, her fingernails digging into her mother's arms. Don't leave me, Tamsin sobs. Mama, don't leave me. Never, Nosa promises, though the word tastes like ash. Never, baby. She looks up, finds Rich standing where she left him, the microphone dangling from his hand. He's staring at Tamsin with something that might be regret, might be horror, might be the first crack in whatever dark thing possessed him to do this. But Nosa feels something else rising in her chest, something cold and sharp and clarifying. She stands, still cradling Tamsin. A paramedic tries to help, but Nosa shakes her head. Not yet. She walks toward Rich, the crowd parts like water. Her hand, still bleeding, leaving a trail of drops on the floor, reaches out and takes the microphone from his trembling fingers. The room goes silent. Even Tamsin sobs, quiet to broken hiccups. Nosa's voice, when it comes, doesn't sound like hers. It's the voice of a woman who just discovered she's been living inside a beautiful lie, and now the truth is burning everything to ash. You want me out of the apartment my dying father gave us? She looks at him, really looks at him, and sees a stranger wearing her husband's face. The one you've lived in rent-free for 20 years, while I worked double shifts so you could play businessman. His face pales. She turns to Imogen. I gave up my medical residency to care for you during cancer. I emptied your bedpans. I held your hand during chemotherapy. I bathed you when you were too weak to stand. And you're smiling? Imogen's smile falters. The young woman, the girl really, because she can't be much older than Brody, goes white. You said you were divorced. Her voice shakes. You said she died. You said she died in a car accident 5 years ago. The room explodes again. More gasps, more shock. Because he didn't just betray Nosa, he built an entire false reality for this girl, made her complicit in destruction she didn't even know she was causing. I didn't know, the girl whispers, tears streaming down her face. I swear I didn't know. Nosa's sister Adeyemi stands, her face twisted with vindicated rage. He asked me 18 months ago to talk sense into you, said you needed to be more adventurous, more exciting. When I warned you, everyone said I was bitter, jealous, a troublemaker trying to ruin a good marriage. The words hit like physical blows. 18 months. He's been planning this for 18 months while Nosa worked, raised their children, took care of his mother, believed in their forever. Nosa looks at her children. Brody is weeping, his shoulders shaking. And Tamsin is staring at her father like he's something monstrous that crawled out from under her bed. She looks at Rich, sees him clearly for the first time in 20 years. You want passion? Her voice cuts through the chaos. You just murdered the only people who truly loved you unconditionally. Our children will carry this trauma forever. Every woman you meet from this day forward will count down the days until you trade her in for someone younger. You'll die alone, Rich, completely alone. And in those final moments, you'll finally understand what you destroyed tonight. She hands the microphone to someone, she doesn't even know who, and gathers her children. Blood from her hand stains their clothes, but none of them care. The walk to the door is endless. But with each step, Nosa hears it. Applause. Starting with one person, then another, then cascading through the room like thunder. 200 guests rising to their feet, not for Rich and his announcement, not for the spectacle of betrayal, for her, for the woman walking out of her own anniversary party with her head high and her children in her arms, leaving her husband standing alone with his mother in a silent ballroom, his face finally crumbling as reality crashes down. Too late. Always too late. The door closes behind them, and Nosa allows herself one moment, just one, to break. She sinks against the hallway wall, her children pressed against her, and weeps for the death of 20 years, for the murder of forever, for the beautiful lie that just shattered into pieces too small to ever put back together. Chapter 2. The Microphone. The apartment feels like a mausoleum where Nosa buries a different part of herself each day. First hope, then dignity, finally the belief that love was ever real. Morning light streams through windows that used to mean something. Nosa stands in the kitchen holding coffee she can't taste, staring at the table where they ate breakfast as a family just yesterday. The chair where Rich sat is empty. Will always be empty now. Tamsin hasn't left her room in 3 days. Brody sleeps on the couch, unable to face his own bedroom because the walls heard him keep his father's secret. The apartment breathes with grief so thick Nosa can barely move through it. Her phone won't stop ringing. Friends, family, people from the party. The video has spread. Someone recorded everything, shared it online. Strangers send messages calling Rich every terrible name, while others dissect Nosa's marriage, wondering what she did wrong, how she didn't see it coming. Maybe if she'd been more attentive, one comment reads. Men don't cheat when they're happy at home. Nosa deletes the app, smashes her phone against the counter, watches it break, and feels nothing. Adeyemi arrives with groceries, lets herself in with the spare key Nosa gave her years ago, takes one look at her sister, and pulls her into an embrace that breaks something loose in Nosa's chest. I should have tried harder, Adeyemi says. When he approached me, I should have. You tried. I didn't believe you. Nosa's voice sounds hollow. I chose him over you. I chose the lie, because he was convincing. Because he's a liar who's been doing this his entire life. The words hang between them. Nosa pulls back. What do you mean his entire life? Adeyemi hesitates, then reaches into her purse and pulls out a folder. I hired someone. After the party, I needed to know if... She hands over the folder. Read it. Inside are printouts, your documents, divorce records. A woman named Temperance, who was married to Rich before Nosa, divorced after he emptied their joint account and ran off with someone younger. Another woman named Jessamine. Same pattern, same lies, same destruction. How many? Now Nosa whispers. At least 3 before you. Maybe more. Nosa's knees give out. She sinks into a chair. I wasn't special. I wasn't. You were a target. Like the others, Adeyemi crouches beside her. This is who he is. Who he's always been. The door to Tamsin's room opens. The girl emerges looking skeletal, her skin grey, her eyes sunken. She's been beautiful her whole life, but grief has carved her into something else, something haunted. I can't eat, Tamsin says. Every time I try, I see them. In my room, in my bed, where I sleep. Nosa opens her arms, and Tamsin collapses into them. This child who's too old to be held like this, but too young to survive what she's witnessed. We'll get you new furniture, Nosa says. New everything. We'll paint the walls, make it different. It won't matter. The images are inside my head. Brody appears from the living room, his face puffy from crying. It's my fault. I should have told you. I should have... Stop! Nosa's voice is sharp. You were manipulated. He made you his accomplice. That's on him, not you. I was old enough to know better. You were his son. You trusted him. That's not weakness. That's what children are supposed to do. But Brody shakes his head, and Nosa can see the guilt eating him alive from the inside. A knock at the door makes them all freeze. Nosa peers through the peephole, and her blood turns to ice. Kellen, the young woman, standing in the hallway with her arms wrapped around herself, looking small and terrified. Nosa opens the door slowly. What do you want? I'm sorry. Kellen's voice breaks immediately. I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know any of it. Get out, please. Just listen. Kellen pulls something from her bag, a wooden box, old and worn. He gave me this. Said it was special. I opened it this morning. She hands it to Nosa. Inside are letters. Love letters. Dozens of them. Nosa's vision blurs as she reads. The words are familiar. Too familiar. Because they're the same words Rich wrote to her 20 years ago. The same promises. The same poetry. Even the same metaphors about stars and destiny and souls recognizing each other across time. He copied them, Kellen whispers. Every single one. Word for word. I looked you up online. Found an old blog post you wrote about your engagement where you quoted his letters. They're identical. Nosa wants to vomit, wants to scream, wants to claw her own skin off because she wore these words like precious jewels, and they were just recycled trash. I'm a barista, Kellen continues, her voice shaking. I worked nights to pay for community college. He came in every evening for months, was so kind, so interested in my dreams. Told me his wife died 5 years ago, that he was lonely, that I reminded him of her when she was young. Made me feel special, like I was saving him from grief. You're his victim too, Adeyemi says quietly. I helped destroy your family. Kellen looks at Tamsin, who's staring at her with hollow eyes. I was in your bed, your sanctuary. I'm so sorry. I'll carry that forever. Tamsin opens her mouth, closes it, opens it again. Did he tell you about us? His children? He said you were grown and moved away, that you barely spoke to him anymore. I'm 16. My brother is 19. We lived here. Tamsin's voice breaks. We were here the whole time. Kellen sways like she might faint. Nosa catches her, guides her to the couch. This girl is barely older than Brody, barely more than a child herself. He's a predator, Adeyemi says. He finds vulnerable women and destroys them. You're just the latest. I thought he loved me, Kellen whispers. So did I, Nosa replies. They sit in silence, these women united by the wreckage of one man's selfishness. Finally, Kellen stands. I'll testify. If you need anything for court, divorce, custody, anything, I'll tell them everything. What he told me, how he manipulated me, all of it. Thank you. Kellen pauses at the door. For what it's worth, he talked about you all the time. Said you were brilliant, beautiful, the best person he'd ever known. I think part of him really did love you. That makes it worse, Nosa says softly. Because if he loved me and still did this, then love doesn't mean anything at all. After Kellen leaves, Brody disappears into the bathroom. Nosa hears him vomiting, then the sound of his fist hitting the wall. Once, twice, again and again, until Nosa rushes in and finds him standing over the sink, his knuckles bloody and torn. He kept a journal, Brody says, staring at his reflection. I found it in his desk when I went to get my birth certificate for college enrollment. Read one page before I couldn't stomach anymore. What did it say? That you were getting older. That he needed to start looking. That the apartment would be his in the divorce, because your father put both our names on the deed. Brody's voice drops to a whisper. He was planning this for years. Turned me into his accomplice. Made me think keeping the secret was protecting you, when really he was just making sure he had time to secure everything before the bomb dropped. Nosa pulls him close. This son who's drowning in guilt that isn't his to carry. We're going to survive this, all of us, together. But she's lying. She doesn't know if survival is possible. Doesn't know if any of them will ever be whole again. That night, she wakes to strange sounds from Tamsin's room. Finds her daughter scrubbing the floor with bleach, her hands raw and bleeding, her face wet with tears. I have to make it clean, Tamsin sobs. I have to get the stain out. Baby, there's no stain. The floor is clean. No! Tamsin scrubs harder. I can still see them. Right here. I can see everything. Why can't I make it stop? Nosa kneels beside her daughter, takes the scrub brush gently from her bleeding hands. It's not on the floor. It's in your head. And we're going to get you help. Real help. What if nothing helps? What if I carry this forever? No? Then we'll carry it together. But as Nosa holds her sobbing daughter, she looks toward the bathroom where she can hear Brody retching again, and she thinks, how do we survive this? How does anyone survive the systematic destruction of everything they believed was real? Her phone buzzes, a new one, a day Emmy bought her. A text from a number she doesn't recognize. This is Temperance. Kellen gave me your number. I'm the first wife. Can we talk? There are things you need to know about the money. Nosa's blood runs cold. She calls the number. Temperance's voice is older, weathered by pain. He stole from me too. Everything my parents left me. Everything I'd saved. The apartment your father gave you, I'd checked the deed very carefully. Rich has a pattern of forging signatures, transferring assets. By the time my divorce was final, I had nothing. My father made me promise the apartment would stay in my name only. Check anyway. Trust me. Nosa pulls out the deed the next morning. Her father's lawyer had been meticulous, her name alone, with a clause stating it could never be sold or transferred without written consent witnessed by 3 parties. But clipped to the back is something that makes her vision swim. A transfer document, dated 3 months ago. Her signature at the bottom, except she never signed it. The handwriting is close, remarkably close, but not quite right. The loop on the E is too wide. The N slopes differently. Rich forged her signature, tried to steal the apartment before he destroyed their marriage. Nosa calls her father's lawyer. I need to see you today, right now, and bring everything you have on property fraud. As she waits for the appointment, she sits in the living room, surrounded by the wreckage of 20 years. Photos on the walls, memories that used to be precious. A whole life built on lies so convincing she never saw the foundation crumbling beneath her feet. Her phone rings again. Rich's number. She almost doesn't answer, but something in her needs to hear his voice. Needs to know if there's any remorse. Any recognition of the destruction he's caused. Nosa, he sounds broken. Please, can we talk? No, I made a terrible mistake. I wasn't thinking clearly. You forged my signature. Tried to steal my apartment. Planned this for years. That's not a mistake, Rich. That's who you are. Silence. Then how did you find out? Because I'm not the naive woman you married anymore. That woman died on our anniversary. You killed her. I never meant to hurt. Our daughter tried to scrub her bedroom floor with bleach until her hands bled because she can't get the image of you and that girl out of her head. Her son vomits every night and punches walls because you made him your accomplice. I just discovered you're a serial predator who's destroyed at least 3 other families before mine. So tell me, Rich, which part didn't you mean? She hangs up. Blocks his number. Sits in the silence of her ruined life and makes a decision. She's not going to be a victim. She's going to be a survivor. And if that means clawing her way back to herself through blood and broken glass, then that's exactly what she'll do. Because her children are watching. And she needs to show them that even when someone destroys you completely, you can rebuild, different, scarred, but still standing, still breathing. Still here. Chapter 3. The Unraveling. 3 months crawl by like wounded animals, each day bleeding into the next, with no distinction between sunrise and sunset. And Tamsin Edward Foley has stopped believing her body belongs to her. She stands in front of her bedroom mirror, new furniture, new paint, everything different except the floor beneath her feet, which is still the same floor. Still the place where her innocence died, and practices smiling. Her therapist says she needs to reclaim her space, her sense of self, her power. But power feels like a word from another language. A concept for other girls who didn't come home early from school to find their father and his mistress tangled in sheets that smelled like teenage dreams. She doesn't eat breakfast anymore. Can't. Her stomach rejects everything that isn't liquid. Coffee, water, sometimes broth if her mother begs hard enough. She's lost weight she didn't have to lose. Her collarbones sharp enough to cut. Her clothes hanging like drapes on a skeleton. Please, baby, Nosa says each morning, offering toast, eggs, anything. Just one bite. I can't. And it's true. Every time Tamsin tries to swallow solid food, her throat closes. Her body remembers what her mind is trying to forget. The sounds, the images, the way her father looked at her when he finally noticed her standing in the doorway. The way he didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. Just angry that she'd interrupted. Brody stopped going to classes. His university called twice, then stopped calling. He sits on the couch most days, staring at nothing. His knuckles wrapped in bandages that bloom red by evening because he keeps reopening the wounds. Yesterday, Nosa found him in the bathroom at dawn, his fist drawn back to punch the mirror. She caught his arm mid-swing. "What are you doing?" I look like him." Brody's voice was hollow. "I have his eyes, his jaw. When I look in the mirror, I see the man who destroyed you. How do I live with that? You're not him. You're nothing like him." I kept his secret. I'm exactly like him, who started getting into fights. Last week at a convenience store, he saw a man yelling at his girlfriend. Brody grabbed him, shoved him against a wall, screamed, "You think you can treat her like trash? You think she's disposable? You're just like my father." Security pulled them apart. The other man pressed charges. Now Brody has a court date and a therapist who uses words like breakdown and PTSD and maladaptive coping. Nosa holds her family together with bleeding hands, working double shifts at the hospital where she finally finished her residency, coming home to children who are disappearing before her eyes. She's lost weight too. Her clothes don't fit. Her face in the mirror looks carved from grief. Adeyemi visits every weekend, brings food nobody eats, sits in the silence that's replaced where conversation used to be. You need to talk to someone. She tells Nosa, "You can't just hold everyone else up while you're drowning." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. None of you are fine. But what's the alternative? Collapse? Let the whole structure crumble?" Nosa is the only thing keeping her children from completely unraveling, even as she feels her own threads pulling loose. Rich calls from blocked numbers. Nosa doesn't answer, but his voicemails pile up like poison. I'm sorry, please, let me explain. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I still love you. I made a mistake. Please, Nosa, please. She deletes them without listening all the way through. But sometimes, late at night when she can't sleep, she wonders what he's doing. If he's suffering. If he understands yet what he's destroyed. The lawyer's office is downtown, all glass and steel and cold fluorescent lighting. Nosa brings the forged document, her father's original will, every piece of evidence that Rich tried to steal the apartment. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Octavia with silver hair and sharper eyes, studies everything carefully. He's done this before, she says finally. I've represented 2 other women against him. Same pattern. Marry someone with assets, wait until he's secured access, then destroy them and take everything. Can we prosecute? We can try. But fraud is hard to prove if he's good at forgery. And he's very good. Octavia leans forward. But here's what we can do. Freeze everything. Every account, every asset. I'll file an emergency injunction. He won't be able to touch anything until the divorce is final. How long will that take? Months. Maybe longer if he fights. Let him fight. I'm not backing down. Octavia smiles grimly. Good, because he's going to make this ugly. Men like him always do. That night, Nosa comes home to find Tamsin's bedroom door open. The room is dark. She flips the light switch and her heart stops. Tamsin is on the floor. Not moving. An empty pill bottle beside her. Orange prescription tablets scattered across the carpet like fallen stars. No. Nosa is on her knees, checking for a pulse, screaming for Brody, dialing emergency services with shaking hands. Tamsin's pulse is there, but faint. Her breathing shallow, her lips slightly blue. Stay with me, baby. Stay with me. Help is coming. You're going to be fine. You're going to be... But she's not fine. None of them are fine. The ambulance arrives in minutes that feel like hours. Paramedics work quickly, efficiently, asking questions Nosa barely hears. What did she take? How many? How long ago? I don't know. I just found her. I don't know. Brody rides in the ambulance with them, holding his sister's hand, his face dead white. This is my fault. I did this. I killed her. She's not dead. She's going to be okay. But Nosa doesn't know if she believes it. The hospital is bright and loud, and everything moves too fast and too slow simultaneously. They pump Tamsin's stomach, give her charcoal, hook her up to machines that beep and whir, and monitor the life that's barely clinging to her body. A doctor with kind eyes and graying temples pulls Nosa aside. She's stable. She's going to survive this. But Ms. Edward, your daughter took a significant amount of sleeping pills. If you'd come home an hour later, we'd be having a very different conversation. I know. She's going to need intensive psychiatric care. This wasn't a cry for help. This was a genuine attempt. Nosa already knows this. Felt it in the way Tamsin's been disappearing piece by piece, day by day. Watching her daughter fade like a photograph left in sunlight. When Tamsin wakes, her eyes find her mother's immediately. Tears leak from the corners, silent and hopeless. I'm sorry, she whispers. I just wanted the images to stop. They won't stop, Mama. Every time I close my eyes, I see them. Every time I try to sleep, I'm back in that room. I can't make it stop, and I don't know how to live like this. Nosa climbs into the hospital bed, holds her daughter like she did when she was small and afraid of thunderstorms. Then we'll find a way together. Different therapy, medication, whatever you need. But you can't leave me, baby. You can't. Because if you go, I go. Do you understand? I don't know how to keep living. One breath at a time. That's all. Just one breath, then another, then another. We don't think about tomorrow or next week or next year. Just the next breath. Can you do that? Tamsin nods against her mother's chest. I'll try. That's all I need. Just keep trying. Brody sits in the corner, his head in his hands, his whole body shaking. When Nosa looks at him, she sees a young man being eaten alive by guilt that's not his to carry, but he carries it anyway because Rich made sure of it. Her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. This is Rich's mother, Imogene. I need to speak with you. It's important. Nosa doesn't respond. Blocks the number. But it buzzes again from a different number. Please, I'm dying. I need to make this right. Dying. The word sits heavy in Nosa's chest. She should feel satisfaction. Should want Imogene to suffer the way she's suffering, the way her children are suffering. But she just feels tired. A nurse comes in to check Tamsin's vitals. There's a woman in the waiting room. Says she's the grandmother. Should I? No. Brody's voice is hard. She doesn't get to see us. She smiled when he destroyed us. She knew. She probably helped him plan it. Brody! Nosa starts. No, Mom. She doesn't get to feel better about herself by apologizing now. Some things can't be forgiven. And maybe he's right. Maybe some betrayals go too deep for apologies to reach. Days pass. Tamsin is released into a psychiatric program, outpatient but intensive. 3 hours of therapy daily, group sessions, medication adjustments, art therapy where she paints violent, beautiful images of girls being swallowed by darkness. Brody finally goes to his court date for the fight at the convenience store. The judge looks at his record, previously clean, and the psychological evaluation from his therapist, and gives him community service instead of jail time. You're clearly struggling, the judge says. But you can't use your pain as an excuse to hurt others. Get help, real help, before you destroy yourself and everyone around you. Brody nods, accepts the sentence, walks out of the courthouse, and immediately gets into another fight with a man who catcalls a woman on the street. This time, he ends up in the hospital with a broken jaw. The other man's friends didn't fight fair. Nosa sits beside his hospital bed, watching her son's swollen face, and something in her finally breaks. Not into pieces, into something harder, something diamond-sharp and unbreakable. Enough, she says. Both of you. This ends now. Mom, no, listen to me. What your father did was evil. It was calculated and cruel and unforgivable. But if we let it destroy us, then he wins. If we disappear into our pain, if we stop existing as human beings, then he gets exactly what he wanted, to erase us so completely that we can't even fight back. How do we fight? Tamsin's voice is small, broken. By surviving, by rebuilding, by refusing to let him have any more of our lives than he's already taken. Nosa takes each of their hands. I'm not saying forgive him. I'm not saying forget. I'm saying we choose to keep living despite what he did. We choose ourselves, each other. We choose to be more than just his victims. I don't know how, Brody says. Neither do I, but we're going to learn. A week later, Imogene's obituary appears in the paper. Stroke. Died at home. Survived by one son, 2 grandchildren, and a former daughter-in-law who refuses to attend the funeral. Rich calls again. This time, Nosa answers. My mother is dead, he says, and his voice is hollow. She died alone. Her last words were, tell them I'm sorry. Then she got off easy. Nosa, your mother stood in that ballroom and smiled while you destroyed our family. She helped you, encouraged you. She doesn't get forgiveness just because she's dead. Please, I need. You need. Nosa laughs, and the sound is bitter as poison. Your daughter almost died because of you. Your son can't look at himself in the mirror without seeing the man who manipulated him. I discovered you're a serial predator who's destroyed multiple families. You forged my signature to steal my home. And you're calling me because your mother died. Silence on the other end. I hope you're drowning in it, Rich. I hope the guilt eats you alive. I hope you lie awake every night seeing Tamsin's face when she collapsed, hearing Brody beg for forgiveness for something that was your fault. I hope you never have another peaceful moment for the rest of your miserable life. She hangs up, blocks the number, turns to her children who are watching her with something like awe. That's how we fight, she says. We refuse to make his pain our responsibility. We refuse to carry his guilt. We survive, and we do it without him. Tamsin nods slowly. Brody's jaw is still wired shut, but he squeezes his mother's hand. They're broken, all of them, shattered into so many pieces it seems impossible they'll... ever be whole again, but they're still breathing, still here, still fighting, and maybe that's enough for now. Maybe survival is its own form of victory. Chapter 4. The Girl Who Wanted Silence. The psychiatric ward smells like industrial cleaner and old despair, and Tamsin Edward Foley learns that surviving is different from living. One is breathing, the other is wanting to. She sits in group therapy with 7 other people who tried to stop existing. A man in his 40s who stepped in front of a train. A woman in her 20s who drove her car into a lake. A teenage boy who hung himself in his closet, but the beam broke. They share their stories like trading scars, comparing whose pain cut deepest. When it's Tamsin's turn, the words stick in her throat. How does she explain that her father didn't just betray her mother? He stole her innocence, her safety, her ability to trust that the world makes sense. "My father used my bedroom," she finally says, her voice barely above a whisper, "while I was at school. With his mistress, in my bed." The room goes quiet, even here, in this place where everyone's trauma is supposed to be equal. Her pain stands out. The therapist, a woman named Dr. Larkin with grey streaks in her black hair and eyes that have seen too much, leans forward. "You came home early." "I was sick, fever. I just wanted to sleep." Tamsin's hands twist in her lap. "I heard sounds from my room, opened the door, and there they were." "What did you do?" "Nothing. I just stood there, frozen, until my father saw me." And the look on his face, her voice cracks. He wasn't ashamed. He was annoyed, like I'd interrupted something important. "How long ago was this?" "The first time. Months before he destroyed everything publicly. I told myself I imagined it, that it couldn't be real, that my father wouldn't—" She's crying now, the tears coming fast and hot. "But it was real, and I let him gaslight me into thinking I was crazy." Dr. Larkin's voice is gentle. "You were a child protecting herself the only way she knew how, by denying what was too terrible to accept. But Tamsin doesn't feel like that's protection. Feels like cowardice, like she failed everyone by not speaking up sooner." After group, she has individual sessions where Dr. Larkin makes her describe the images in detail. "We need to drain the wound," she explains. "Right now, these memories have power over you because you're trying not to think about them. The more you avoid them, the stronger they become." So Tamsin talks, describes everything: the color of the sheets, the angle of afternoon light through the window, the specific sounds, the smell of perfume that wasn't her mother's, the way her father's back arched, the woman's face flushed and unaware until suddenly, horribly aware. She vomits twice during the session. Dr. Larkin hands her a trash can like, "This is normal. Expected, part of the process." "Good," she says when Tamsin is done heaving. "Your body is releasing the trauma. Let it out." But Tamsin doesn't feel released. Feels raw, flayed open, exposed to air that burns. At night, she lies in her hospital bed. They kept her inpatient for observation, and listens to other patients crying, screaming, bargaining with gods who don't answer. She understands them now, understands why people choose silence over this, why death seems kinder than carrying pain that never stops bleeding. Her phone rings. Brody. His voice sounds strange, muffled. Right. His jaw is wired shut. He's learned to speak around it, but every word sounds painful. "How are you?" he asks. "Alive, you?" "The same." They're quiet. The silence between them heavy with everything they can't say. "I'm sorry. This is my fault. I should have saved you. I should have spoken up. I should have been braver. The judge gave me community service," Brody finally says. 100 hours. "I have to help at a domestic violence shelter." "That's good." "Is it? I feel like a fraud, like I'm the abuser, not the victim." "You're both. That's what makes it so complicated." More silence. "Then I got into another fight." Brody, "I know. I can't stop. Every time I see a man mistreating a woman, something breaks inside me. I want to hurt them the way he hurt us." "That's not helping anyone." "I know. My therapist says I'm projecting, trying to save every woman because I couldn't save Mom." Tamsin understands this. She's doing the same thing in reverse, trying to disappear because she couldn't make her father disappear first. "We're a mess," she says softly. "Complete disaster. Do you think we'll ever be normal again?" Brody is quiet for so long, Tamsin thinks he's hung up. "Then I don't think normal exists anymore. I think we just have to find a new way to exist. Different, scarred, but maybe still okay." "I don't know if I want to exist at all." "Then exist for me, for Mom, because if you go, we fall apart completely." "You're the glue, Tam, you always have been." But Tamsin doesn't feel like glue. Feels like shattered glass, barely holding shape through surface tension alone. When she's finally released from the psychiatric ward, Nosa is there with clean clothes and a careful smile. They drive home in silence. The apartment looks different, brighter somehow. Nosa has been cleaning, rearranging, trying to make it feel less like a crime scene. But Tamsin can still feel it. The weight of betrayal soaked into the walls. "I talked to a realtor," Nosa says as they walk in. "We can move. New place. Fresh start." "You love this apartment. I love you more." Tamsin wants to feel grateful. Instead feels guilty. One more way her father destroyed something precious. Her mother's home, her history. The only connection left to her dead father who tried to protect his daughter from men, exactly like Rich. Mail is piled on the counter. Nosa sorts through it mechanically. Bills, advertisements, a thick envelope with no return address. Inside is a letter, handwritten, from Kellen. "Dear Tamsin," it begins. "I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I'm the last person who has the right to speak to you. But I need you to know something. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking you to understand. I'm just asking you to believe that I didn't know, that I was lied to, that I'm his victim too, even though my victimhood hurt you in ways I can never repair." Tamsin reads the whole thing. 2 pages of careful handwriting, shaking in places, words crossed out and rewritten. At the end, "You deserved better. Your whole family did. I'm going to therapy now, learning about predatory behavior, about manipulation, about how men like your father find vulnerable women and use them as weapons. I'll carry what I did to you forever. All I can do is promise never to be used like that again, and to warn every woman I meet about men who seem too good to be true. Because they are. Every time." Tamsin folds the letter carefully, puts it in her drawer. Doesn't know how to feel about it. That night she dreams of her father. But in the dream he's transparent, a ghost already fading. And she's solid, real, surviving. She wakes gasping but not screaming. It's progress. Small, microscopic, barely there. But progress nonetheless. Days become weeks. She goes back to school, has to repeat the semester she missed, but she goes. Sits in classrooms and takes notes and pretends to be normal, even though normal is a language she's forgotten how to speak. Other students whisper. Everyone knows. The video from the anniversary party went viral. That's the girl whose dad, she hears the fragments. Keeps walking, head up, because her mother taught her that surviving with dignity is its own form of revenge. Brody starts his community service at the shelter. Comes home quiet, shaken. The stories, he tells Nosa, the things men do to women. He can't finish the sentence. Is it helping? I don't know, maybe. I'm learning that what Dad did isn't unique. That there are thousands of men just like him. Millions, probably. And that makes it worse somehow. Like evil isn't special. It's ordinary. Nosa nods. She understands this. Has seen it in her work at the hospital. Women who come in with injuries that don't match their stories. Children who flinch from touch. The everyday violence that society pretends not to see. Rich tries to visit. Shows up at the apartment door. Brody answers, still in his community service uniform. The irony not lost on anyone. "You need to leave," Brody says. "I just want to talk. To explain, there's nothing to explain. You destroyed us. On purpose. For years. Now you have to live with that. Your sister almost died because of you." Brody's voice rises. "Because you traumatized her so badly, she wanted to stop existing. So no, you don't get to use her pain as an excuse to feel better about yourself. Leave now, before I call the police. Rich looks past him, sees Tamsin standing in the hallway. His face crumples. Tamsin, baby, don't call me that. Her voice is ice. You lost the right to call me anything. I'm your father. You're the man who used my bedroom as his personal brothel. You're nothing to me. She turns and walks away. Here's Rich weeping on the other side of the door. Here's Brody slam it in his face, feels nothing. And maybe that's healing too, the absence of feeling. The ability to look at the source of her trauma and feel nothing but cold indifference. That night, Tamsin writes in the journal Dr. Larkin gave her. Writes about the dream, about school, about the letter from Kellen. Writes about standing in the hallway and feeling nothing while her father wept. Is this better? She writes. Feeling nothing instead of feeling everything? Or is it just different? Is numbness its own form of death? She doesn't know the answer, but she keeps writing, keeps breathing, keeps existing, one breath at a time, just like she promised. Chapter 5. The Man in the Mirror. Rich Foley stands in his mother's empty house surrounded by photographs of people who now hate him. And for the first time in his life he sees himself clearly, and the reflection is monstrous. The funeral was yesterday. He stood alone at the graveside while his siblings positioned themselves on the opposite side of the casket, as far from him as possible, without leaving entirely. No one spoke to him. No one looked at him. He was a ghost at his own mother's funeral. Imogene's house feels enormous in its emptiness. Every room echoes with memories. Family dinners where Nosa cooked because Imogene was too weak from chemo. Christmas mornings with Tamsin and Brody opening presents while Imogene watched with joy in her eyes. The night she held Rich's hand and said, "I'm so glad you found Nosa. She's the best thing that ever happened to this family." And Rich destroyed it all. He finds boxes of photographs, carefully sorts through them with shaking hands. It's their wedding day, Nosa in white, radiant, believing every promise he made. Here's Brody as a newborn, tiny and perfect in his father's arms. Here's Tamsin's first birthday, cake smeared across her face, everyone laughing. He made these memories, lived inside these moments, felt love, real, genuine love for these people, and still chose to destroy them. Why? The question circles his mind like a vulture. Why did he do it? What was he looking for? What was missing inside him that made him need to hurt the people who loved him most? He finds Tamsin's diary in a box of things his mother saved, from when she was 12. The pages are filled with hearts and flowers and sentences like, "Daddy is my hero. He's the smartest, kindest, best man in the whole world. When I grow up, I want to marry someone exactly like him." Rich vomits into the nearest trash can, heaves until there's nothing left, until he's just dry retching into emptiness. That's what he did. Took his daughter's hero worship and turned it into trauma so severe she tried to die. He finds Brody's college essay in another box. His mother kept everything. The essay is about integrity, about moral courage, about how Rich taught him that real men protect the weak, that honor matters more than comfort, that love is a verb, not just a feeling. Rich's hands shake so badly he drops the papers. They scatter across the floor like accusations. His son believed in him, worshipped him, and Rich manipulated that love, used it as a weapon, turned Brody into an accomplice in his mother's betrayal. The phone rings. Unknown number. He answers because maybe it's someone who doesn't hate him yet. "Mr. Foley, this is the suicide prevention hotline. Your wife, ex-wife, called us. She's concerned you might be a danger to yourself." Nosa called them. Even now, even after everything, she's trying to keep him alive. The realization breaks something inside him. He's been telling himself she's cruel, vindictive, unreasonable. But she's not. She's protecting him from himself, even while he destroyed her. His voice cracks. "I don't know. Maybe I am. Can you tell me where you are?" He gives the address. 20 minutes later, paramedics arrive with a crisis counselor. They sit with him for hours, asking questions, assessing risk, finally giving him a number for a therapist who specializes in abusive partners. "You need to understand something," the counselor says. "Whatever you're feeling right now, it's not about seeking sympathy. It's about truly confronting what you did. And that work is going to be harder than anything you've ever done." Rich calls the therapist the next morning. A woman named Solitude, with a voice like gravel and no patience for excuses. "Why are you calling me?" she asks immediately. "I need help." Wrong answer. "Why are you really calling?" "I destroyed my family. My daughter tried to die. My son is having a breakdown. My wife." "Stop, you're making this about them. Why are you calling? What do you want?" Rich is confused. "I want to fix." "You can't fix it. It's unfixable. So try again. Why are you calling?" He thinks. Really thinks. "Because I'm a monster and I don't know how I became one." "Better. Now we can start." The first session is brutal. Solitude doesn't let him deflect, doesn't accept excuses, doesn't allow him to paint himself as a victim of circumstances. "You weren't drunk. You weren't insane. You weren't having a midlife crisis," she says. "You made calculated choices over years. You manipulated everyone around you. You forged documents. You used your own son as an accomplice. You traumatized your daughter in her sanctuary. These weren't mistakes. This is who you are." "I didn't mean—" "Don't." Her voice is sharp. "Don't say you didn't mean to. You meant every bit of it. You just didn't expect consequences." She makes him join a group for abusive men. Sitting in that circle the first time is humiliating. These men are monsters. They hit their wives, screamed at their children, destroyed property, threatened violence. He's not like them, except he is. The facilitator, a man who used to be exactly like them until he chose differently, looks directly at Rich. "You think you're better than everyone here because you didn't hit anyone. But psychological abuse is just as devastating. More sometimes. Because physical scars heal. The scars you left will never fully disappear." Rich wants to argue. Can't. Week after week he sits in that circle and hears stories that mirror his own. Men who felt entitled to their wives' lives. Men who manipulated and gaslit and destroyed. Men who turned their children into weapons. And slowly, horrifyingly, he recognizes himself in every story. Solitude gives him an assignment. Write letters to your victims. Not to send. They don't need your words right now. But so you understand the full scope of what you did. He starts with Tamsin. "Dear Tamsin, I murdered your childhood. I took your sanctuary and turned it into a crime scene. I taught you that men who say they love you will destroy you. I made you want to die. There is no apology big enough, no atonement sufficient. I did this to you, your own father, the person whose only job was to protect you. And I failed so completely that you couldn't stand to exist anymore." He sobs so hard, he passes out from exhaustion. The next letter is to Brody. "Dear son, I made you my accomplice. I manipulated your love, your loyalty, your desire to protect your mother into a weapon I used against all of you. I stole your innocence, made you complicit, gave you trauma you'll carry forever. You look in the mirror and see me. That's my fault. I poisoned you with my sickness." Then Noza, "Dear Noza, I took 20 years of your life and revealed them as lies. I made you question your own reality, your judgment, your worth. I used your father's generosity, your compassion, your love as tools to manipulate you. I tried to steal the home your dying father gave you. I turned you into a cautionary tale when you deserved to be a love story." He writes dozens of letters. To Kellen, who he manipulated into hurting people she didn't even know existed. To his mother, who he let poison her soul with cruelty. To his first wife, and the others he destroyed before Nosa. Each letter peels back another layer of self-delusion. Each one forces him to see what he did without the comfortable distance of justification. Solitude reads them all. "Good. Now I want you to volunteer at a domestic abuse shelter. You need to sit in rooms with women who survived men exactly like you. You need to face what you are. The shelter is in a converted church, all high ceilings and stained glass that filters light into colors that feel holy. The women who live there look at Rich with suspicion. They know a predator when they see one. He doesn't speak to them, just helps with maintenance, cooking, cleaning, makes himself useful in ways that don't require them to trust him. But he listens. Here's their stories. A woman whose husband broke her arm for burning dinner. A woman whose boyfriend tracked her phone, isolated her from friends, made her believe she was worthless. A woman who stayed with her husband for 20 years, thinking he loved her, only to discover he'd been cheating the entire time, that she was just a cover for his real life. The woman's name is Temperance, the same Temperance who contacted Nosa, Rich's first wife. She recognizes him immediately, goes pale. "What are you doing here?" "I volunteer here. Part of my therapy." "Therapy?" She laughs bitterly. "What, you think a few months of talking will fix what you are?" "No, I don't think I can be fixed." The honesty surprises her. "Then why bother?" "Because I need to understand what I am, and I need to make sure no one else becomes me." They stand in tense silence. Finally, Temperance says, "I'm going to be watching you. If you're performing, if this is some kind of manipulation to get back to Nosa and the kids, I'll destroy you." "Good. Someone should." Weeks turn to months. Rich sells his car, moves into a tiny studio apartment, works 3 jobs. Every extra dollar goes to abuse survivor organizations. He's not trying to buy redemption. He knows it's not for sale. He's just trying to stop drowning in his own guilt. He starts speaking at high schools. The guidance counselor warns him, "These kids will eat you alive." Good. He stands in front of teenagers with their whole lives ahead of them and says, "I destroyed my family, publicly humiliated my wife at our anniversary party, made my son my accomplice in betraying his mother, traumatized my daughter so severely she tried to die. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm not here for redemption. I'm here so you don't become me." A girl raises her hand. "If you knew you were hurting them, why did you keep doing it?" "Because I loved myself more than I loved them. Because I felt entitled to their pain. Because somewhere along the way, I started seeing them as obstacles to my happiness instead of people with their own inherent worth." Do you think people can change? I think people can become different. Whether that's change or just better performance, I don't know yet. Ask me in 5 years. He posts videos online. Raw, unfiltered confessions. Not seeking forgiveness, warning others. The comments are brutal. "You deserve to suffer forever. I hope your kids never forgive you. You're scum." He agrees with every comment. Doesn't delete any of them. This is his punishment, to be known as the monster he is. One night, he's at the shelter washing dishes when Adeyemi walks in, Nosa's sister. She freezes when she sees him. "What are you doing here?" "Volunteering. Have been for months." She studies him carefully. "I'm going to watch you. If you're faking this, if you hurt anyone here..." "I'm not faking, but watch anyway. Everyone should." She does watch. Comes every week for shelter duties. Keeps Rich in her peripheral vision. Watches him counsel young men about respecting women. Watches him clean bathrooms and cook meals and never ask for recognition. Watches him sit with his own pain without demanding comfort. After a year, she approaches him. "You're different." "I'm trying to be. That doesn't erase what you did." "I know. Why are you doing this?" "Really?" Rich is quiet for a long time. "Because if I can help one man not become me, maybe my life will have one good thing in it. Just one, that's all I'm asking for." Adeyemi nods slowly. Doesn't forgive him, doesn't trust him. But maybe, just maybe, believes he's genuinely trying. It's more than he deserves. It's everything. Chapter 6. 5 years in purgatory. The shelter smells like industrial cleaner and old despair. And Rich Foley, who once thought himself a good man, now spends his days learning he was always the monster in other people's stories. 5 years crawl by with the slow inevitability of erosion, each day wearing him down to something unrecognizable from the man who stood in that ballroom and destroyed his family. He barely sleeps, 3, maybe 4 hours a night before the nightmares wake him. Tamsin's face pale and empty as she swallows pills. Brody's broken voice saying, "I'm just like you. Nosa's eyes when she realized 20 years were built on lies. The studio apartment where he lives now is barely large enough for a bed and a desk. No decorations, no photographs, nothing that might let him pretend he deserves comfort. He works 3 jobs: janitor at a hospital, night stock at a grocery store, weekend maintenance at the shelter. Every penny beyond basic survival goes to organizations that help abuse survivors. "You're not buying redemption," Solitude reminds him during their weekly sessions. "You know that, right? No amount of money or time will erase what you did." "I know. So why do it?" "Because it's the only thing I can do that doesn't make the world worse." The group for abusive men meets every Tuesday. Rich hasn't missed a session in 5 years. He knows their stories now. Men who destroyed their families in different ways, but for the same reason: because they could. Because they felt entitled. Because somewhere along the line, they stopped seeing their victims as fully human. A new member joins. Younger, maybe mid-30s, still making excuses. "She pushed me to it." She wouldn't listen. "What was I supposed to do?" Rich speaks up. "You were supposed to not destroy her. That was your only job. Easy for you to say, 'I humiliated my wife publicly, made my son my accomplice in betraying his mother, traumatized my daughter so badly she tried to die.' There's no easy here. There's just the truth. We chose this. We chose to hurt them. And we have to live with that forever." The man's face goes red. "You don't know my situation. I know you're making excuses. I did it for 40 years. It doesn't help. It just delays the moment when you have to face what you are." After group, another member approaches Rich. Older man, gray and tired. "How long have you been sober?" "I don't drink, and that's not what I mean." "How long since you hurt someone?" Rich thinks. 5 years. But I'm not sober. I'm just not actively poisoning anyone new. The people I already hurt, they're still suffering. I'm still hurting them through the aftermath. That's the hardest part. Knowing the damage is permanent. They stand in shared silence. 2 men trying to become better while knowing better will never be good enough. At the high school where Rich speaks quarterly, a boy approaches him after the presentation. "My dad is like you. He cheated on my mom, made me keep it secret. I feel like I'm dying inside." Rich's chest tightens. "You need to tell someone. A counselor, a trusted adult. The secret is poison. But if I tell, I'll destroy our family. The secret is already destroying your family. You're just protecting your dad from consequences. And he doesn't deserve that protection." The boy starts crying. Rich wants to hug him, comfort him. Doesn't. He's lost the right to offer comfort. "Go to the counselor's office. Right now. Tell them everything. It's not your responsibility to carry this." The boy nods, wipes his face, walks away. Rich wonders if he'll actually do it. Hopes desperately that he will. The videos Rich posts online have become a strange sort of archive. People share them in divorce support groups, show them to teenagers learning about healthy relationships, use them as examples of what manipulation looks like. He never expected this, didn't make them for any purpose beyond confession. One comment appears on every video. "This is my ex-husband." Word for word. "Thank you for helping me see I wasn't crazy." The comments are from different people, different stories, but the same essential pain. Rich reads each one, forces himself to sit with the knowledge that he's not unique, that there are thousands, maybe millions of men just like him, that the damage he did is ordinary. Somehow that's worse. Temperance still volunteers at the shelter. They've developed a strange working relationship, not friendship, never that, but a mutual understanding born from shared history. She watches him carefully, always assessing whether this change is real. "You helped someone today," she says one evening. Young woman, new arrival, too scared to eat. Rich made her soup, left it outside her door with a note. "No pressure. Just here if you need it, and that's the job." "No, the job is maintenance. Helping is optional." She studies his face. "You're different from the man I married." "I'm trying to be." "Trying isn't the same as succeeding." "I know. But it's all I have." She nods slowly. "Keep trying. Some days that's enough." Adeyemi continues watching him. Months turn to years, and she sees him counsel young fathers at the shelter. Your child isn't your property. Your partner isn't your servant. Love means putting their needs on equal footing with yours. Not above, not below. Equal. She sees him break up a fight in the parking lot. Two men arguing, one about to throw a punch. Rich steps between them. Takes the hit meant for someone else. Doesn't fight back. Just says, walk away. Choose different. Don't be like me. She sees him on his birthday, alone in the common room. No celebration, no acknowledgement. Just another day of trying to be less terrible than he was yesterday. Finally, she approaches him. You're genuinely different. Maybe, or maybe I'm just better at hiding what I am. No, I'd see it. I've been watching for 5 years. Why tell me this? Because someone should acknowledge that change is possible. Not easy, not simple, but possible. She pauses. That doesn't mean forgiveness. Doesn't mean Nosa or the kids should let you back in their lives, but it means you're not the same person who destroyed them. I don't know if that matters. It matters to the next person you might have hurt, because you're choosing not to. Rich doesn't know what to do with this. Doesn't know if one person believing he's changed means anything at all. But it's something, a crack in the darkness. Like getting through, he continues his routine. Work, therapy, group, volunteering, speaking engagements. The same loop day after day, week after week, year after year. He's 40 now, grey threading through his hair, lines carved deep in his face from grief and sleeplessness, and the weight of knowing what he is. One day, Kellen walks into the shelter. Rich hasn't seen her since the anniversary party. She's different too, older, harder, carrying her own scars. I work here now, she says without preamble. Counseling intake. Helping women recognize manipulation before it destroys them. That's good. Important work. I'm doing it because of you. Because I was your weapon. Because I hurt people I didn't even know existed. She looks at him directly. I've been in therapy for 5 years too, learning how predators operate, how they find vulnerable people and use them. I'm sorry for using you. Stop, I don't need your apology. I need you to keep doing this. She gestures around the shelter. Keep warning people. Keep showing men what they become when they choose ego over humanity. That's your apology. She walks away. Rich watches her go. This young woman he manipulated into complicity, now turning her pain into protection for others. Maybe that's the only redemption available to people like him. Not forgiveness, but the choice to stop creating new victims. He writes more letters he'll never send. Updated ones, now that he understands more about the damage he caused. Dear Tamsin, I know you're in college now. Adeyemi told me you're studying psychology, specializing in trauma. You're turning your pain into healing for others. I wish I could tell you how proud I am. But pride requires the right to have feelings about you, and I gave up that right when I destroyed your childhood. I hope you're okay. I hope you're more than okay. I hope you found a way to exist without the weight of what I did crushing you every day. Dear Brody, Adeyemi says you're engaged, that you're happy, that you've forgiven yourself for something that was never your fault. I hope that's true. I hope you've learned that you're nothing like me, that being manipulated doesn't make you a manipulator, that surviving doesn't require carrying my guilt. Build a good life. Be better than me. That shouldn't be hard. The bar is underground. Dear Nosa, I heard you finished your residency, that you're a trauma specialist now. Of course you are. You're brilliant, always were. I heard you're dating someone kind. I'm glad. You deserve kindness. You deserved it from me and never got it. I hope he treats you the way you should have been treated all along. I hope he shows you what real love looks like. I hope you forget I ever existed. He seals the letters, puts them in a box with all the others. Hundreds of letters spanning 5 years. A catalogue of regret that will never be read by the people who need to hear it. Because they don't need to hear it. They need him to stay away, to leave them in peace, to let them heal without his presence ripping open wounds that have barely begun to scar. So he stays away, works, volunteers, tries to become someone who causes less pain. than he did before, one breath at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time. 5 years of purgatory, and he's still not sure if he's being punished, or if he's finally starting to understand what it means to be human. Maybe both. Maybe that's the point. Chapter 7. The Children Who Watched from Shadows, Tamsin. Edward is 21 now, and she's spent 5 years rebuilding herself into someone who can function despite the cracks. But lately she's been dreaming about her father and waking up terrified that forgiveness might be another form of betrayal. The university campus sprawls green and bright. Students laughing and flirting and stressing over exams. All the normal things that still feel foreign to Tamsin, like watching life through glass. She's majoring in psychology, specializing in family trauma because of course she is. You become what damages you, or you spend your life trying to understand it. Sometimes both. Her roommate is nice, a girl named Piper, who talks too much about her boyfriend and doesn't ask questions about why Tamsin never dates, never goes to parties, never seems to relax. It's easier this way, existing beside people without letting them see the landscape of scars beneath her skin. Dr. Larkin, her therapist, continues their sessions via video call. "You're doing well," she says during one session. "The nightmares have decreased. You're eating regularly. Your grades are excellent, so I'm cured. You're managing." That's different. Tamsin knows this. Knows the difference between healing and simply getting better at hiding damage. But management is something. 5 years ago, she couldn't imagine being alive at 21. Now she's here, breathing, functioning. It's not happiness, but it's not death. "I want to show you something," Dr. Larkin says. She shares her screen, a video. No identifying information, just a man speaking directly to camera. He's older, gray, tired-looking. The man talks about destroying his family, about manipulating his son, about traumatizing his daughter in her sanctuary, about the specific ways he hurt people, the exact mechanisms of his cruelty. Tamsin's chest tightens. "Why are you showing me this? I want you to tell me, can people like this change? Or are they fundamentally broken?" She watches the whole video. The man doesn't make excuses, doesn't ask for sympathy, doesn't suggest his victims should forgive him. He just confesses and warns others not to become him. "I don't know," Tamsin says finally. "Maybe people can change. But does it matter if they do? The damage is still permanent." That's a fair answer. Something about the man's voice bothers Tamsin. She can't place it. Probably just reminds her of her father. She tries not to think about him, tries not to wonder what he's doing, if he's suffering, if he ever thinks about the moment she collapsed in that ballroom 5 years ago. Brody calls that evening. Her brother's voice has deepened over the years, carries a steadiness it didn't have before. "How's school?" "Fine. You?" "Good. Graduate program is intense, but good." He pauses. "Esme and I set a date. For the wedding." "That's wonderful, Brody." Another pause. "She wants me to consider inviting him." The temperature in the room drops. Tamsin doesn't need to ask who him is. Why? She says everyone deserves a second chance, that I need closure, that hating him is eating me alive from the inside. Is it? "I don't know, maybe I just—" His voice cracks. "What if I invite him and he shows up exactly the same? Still manipulative, still selfish, still the same monster? Then we'll deal with it. Or what if he's different? What if he's genuinely changed and we're punishing someone who doesn't exist anymore?" This is the question that haunts Tamsin too. If people can fundamentally change, do you owe them forgiveness for who they used to be? Or do you have the right to hate them forever because of what they did, regardless of who they became? "I don't have answers," she tells her brother. "Neither do I, but Esme thinks we should try family therapy. All of us, including him, just once, to see if—" He can't finish the sentence. "What does Mom say?" "I haven't asked her yet. Wanted to talk to you first." Tamsin is quiet, thinking. 5 years. She survived 5 years without her father. Built a life around his absence. Gotten used to the empty space where he used to be. But does surviving mean accepting that space as permanent? Or does it mean being brave enough to risk everything again by letting him back in, even just a little? If we do this, she says slowly, it has to be on our terms, our conditions. He doesn't get to waltz back in like nothing happened. Agreed. And if he fails, if he says even one manipulative thing makes any excuse, he's gone forever. No second chances after the second chance. Yes, then maybe we try. Maybe we see if change is real. Because I need to know, Brody. I need to know if people can become better. Because if they can't, her voice breaks. If they can't, then what's the point of anything? They're both crying now, siblings united by shared trauma and the desperate hope that humans are capable of transformation. After the call, Tamsin can't sleep. She pulls out her laptop, searches for more videos by the man Dr. Larkin showed her, finds dozens, watches them chronologically, seeing him over years. The first videos raw and fresh with pain, later ones more composed but no less honest. In one video he mentions his daughter is in college now, studying psychology, turning her pain into healing. Tamsin's heart stops. She goes back, rewinds, listens again. My daughter is in college now, studying psychology, turning her pain into healing for others. She recognizes the voice now, recognizes the specific timbre, the way he emphasizes certain words. This is her father. These videos, all of them, are her father's confessions, his warnings, his attempts to become something other than the monster who destroyed them. She should feel angry, violated. He's using their story without permission, making their private pain public, but instead she feels something else, something she didn't expect, curiosity, because the man in these videos isn't the man who stood in that ballroom, isn't the man who used her bedroom, isn't the man she's spent 5 years hating. This is someone else, someone broken by consequences, someone genuinely trying to become better. Is it performance? Or is it real? As she downloads every video, watches them all, takes notes like she's studying for class, which in a way she is. This is research. Can people change? Can monsters become human again? Or is humanity something that once lost, stays lost forever? Brody calls Nosa the next day. Tamsin listens on speakerphone, the three of them connected across distance by the question no one wants to ask. Do we let him try? Nosa's quiet for a long time. Then, I've been seeing someone, Leighton. He's kind, steady, everything your father wasn't. And sometimes I look at him and I think, this is what love should have been. This is what I deserved all along. That's good, Mom, Tamsin says. But then I think about your father. Wonder if he's suffering, if he's learned anything, if he's still the same man, or if 5 years changed him into someone else. She takes a shaky breath. I don't love him. I'll never love him again. But maybe I can be in the same room without wanting to destroy him. Maybe that's enough for one meeting. What if he hurts us again? Brody asks. Then we leave. Immediately. No second chances. What if he's actually changed? Then we decide what that means. If anything, they agree to try. Brody will call him, make the arrangement. One meeting. Family therapy. All of them in a room together for the first time in 5 years. Tamsin writes to her father that night. The first contact in 5 years. She keeps it short. I saw your videos. All of them. I don't know if you're performing or if you've genuinely changed, but I need to find out. Because if people can change, maybe there's hope for everyone, including me. She doesn't send it, not yet. First, she needs to see him, needs to look in his eyes and determine if the transformation is real or if he's just gotten better at lying. Because if he's still the same monster, she'll know. She's studied manipulation now, understands the mechanisms, the tells, the ways predators perform remorse without feeling it. But if he's different, genuinely, fundamentally different, then maybe change is possible. And maybe she can stop being terrified that every person who says they love her is just waiting for the right moment to destroy her completely. Maybe that's not hope. Maybe it's just desperation wearing hope's clothing. But right now, it's all she has. Chapter 8. 3 Conditions for the Ghost, Nosa. Edward stands in her kitchen holding the phone like a live grenade, and Rich Foley's voice, older, humbled, destroyed, is asking for something she never thought she'd have the power to give. One chance to sit in a room with the people he murdered emotionally. The kitchen is different now. New apartment finally, couldn't bear to stay in the place where so much ended. This space is smaller but brighter, windows facing east so morning light floods the rooms. Leighton chose the apartment with her, helped her move, never once asked why she needed to leave behind every physical reminder of her marriage. Leighton is in the living room now, pretending to read but actually listening, ready to support her however she needs. He's everything Rich wasn't. Patient, honest, content to love her without demanding she perform gratitude. They've been together 2 years. He knows the whole story, never pressures her to move faster than she's ready. "I don't deserve this," Rich's voice says through the phone. It sounds different, older, yes, but also hollowed out, less certain. "I know I don't deserve even 1 minute of your time." "No," Nosa agrees, "you don't. But if you're willing, if the kids are willing, I want to try. I want to show you I'm not—" He stops. "I don't know how to say this without sounding manipulative." "Then don't say anything. Just listen." She hears his breath catch. "Okay. You get 1 meeting, 1. If you say even one thing that feels like manipulation, if you make any excuses, if you try to minimize what you did, we're done forever. No appeals, no second chances. Understood?" "Yes. I'm setting 3 conditions. You meet all 3 or this doesn't happen." "Anything. Don't agree before you hear them. You might not want to once you understand what I'm asking." Silence. Then, "Tell me." Nosa has practiced this, rehearsed the words with her therapist until they felt like armor instead of exposure. Condition 1. Continue therapy for 5 more years. Not regular therapy, specialized work with families you've helped destroy through your volunteer work. Face your victims, carry their pain, help them heal. Your transformation isn't complete until you've repaired damage beyond your own family. "I can do that." Condition 2. Rebuild with our children at their pace. You don't get to be called dad just because time passed. Every word is earned. Every conversation is a gift. It might take decades. It might never happen. You accept that without resentment or pressure. His voice is thick. "Yes." Condition 3. This is the hard one. The one that makes this real. You never ask me for forgiveness. You don't get peace. You don't get closure. You live with what you did forever. Your healing doesn't depend on my absolution. I don't exist to give you redemption. Understood? Long silence. Nosa can hear him breathing, processing, understanding what she's really saying. You will carry this guilt until you die. I will never release you from it. If you're looking for forgiveness, look somewhere else. I understand, he says finally, and I agree to all of it. Why? Why what? Why agree? What do you get out of this if not forgiveness? He's quiet again. When he speaks, his voice is barely a whisper. The chance to show you I'm sorry. Not so you forgive me, just so you know the apology is real. So maybe someday you can think about our marriage and not feel like every good memory was a lie. Something in Nosa's chest twists. She doesn't want to feel sympathy, doesn't want to soften, but there's something in his voice, genuine regret, not the performance of it. She doesn't trust it yet, but she hears it. The therapy appointment is in 3 weeks, she says. Dr. Philomena Crest. She's a specialist in family trauma. Don't be late. Don't bring anything, no gifts, no letters, nothing. Just yourself, and be prepared. Our children are going to unleash 5 years of pain on you. You don't get to defend yourself. You just sit there and take it. I will. If you walk out, if you can't handle hearing what you did, we're done. But I won't walk out. Rich. She says his name and it feels strange in her mouth, unfamiliar after years of calling him nothing. I mean it. One mistake and you're gone forever. I know. Thank you, Nosa, for this, for even considering. Don't thank me. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for our children, so they can see if change is real, so they can move forward with their lives knowing they gave you one chance and you either rose to it or failed. This isn't about you. It's about them. I know. She hangs up. Her hand is shaking. Leighton appears in the doorway, concern written across his kind face. You okay? I don't know. Maybe. I just agreed to sit in a room with the man who destroyed me. He comes close, wraps his arms around her. You're the bravest person I know. Or the stupidest. Brave, he insists, because you're choosing to face trauma when you could just walk away. That takes courage. But Nosa doesn't feel courageous, feels terrified. What if seeing Rich breaks? Something in her that's barely healed? What if he's still the same man and this whole thing just reopens wounds she spent 5 years trying to close? Tamsin arrives that evening for dinner. She does this twice a week now. Comes over, helps cook, pretends everything is normal, even though normal is just a mask they all wear. Brody joins them, and the three of them sit around the table like they're preparing for battle. He agreed to the conditions, Nosa says. Her children exchange looks. Tamsin speaks first. I found his videos, the ones he posts online. I've watched all of them. What? Nosa's heart races. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't know how you'd react, and I needed to process it first. Tamsin pulls out her laptop, shows them. He's been doing this for years, confessing, warning people, taking full accountability. They watched together. Video after video of Rich describing what he did, why it was wrong, how he's trying to change. He doesn't make excuses, doesn't ask for sympathy, just lays bare his crimes and begs others not to become him. Brody is crying. Is it real, or is he just performing for an audience? I don't know, Tamsin says. That's what we need to find out. Nosa watches her ex-husband on screen. He looks older, worn down by consequences. There's something different in his eyes, a depth that wasn't there before. But is it genuine? Or has he just learned to fake depth? I want to believe people can change, Tamsin says softly. Because if they can't, then what's the point of therapy, of growth, of trying to be better? If we're all just stuck as whoever we were at our worst moment, then there's no hope for any of us. That's a lot of weight to put on one meeting, Leighton observes quietly. I know, but that's what it is. Tamsin looks at her mother. Are you ready for this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. The 3 weeks pass in a blur of anxiety and second-guessing. Nosa dreams about the anniversary party, wakes up gasping, remembering the moment the glass slipped from her hand, the sound it made shattering, the way Rich's face showed no remorse, only determination. She dreams about good times too, and those are worse. Rich holding her hand in the delivery room as Brody was born. Rich slow dancing with her in their kitchen. Rich laughing at her jokes, kissing her forehead, saying, I love you, in ways that felt real. Were any of those moments true, or was she living in a performance the entire time? The day of the appointment arrives. Nosa dresses carefully, not too formal, not too casual. Armor disguised as normalcy. Tamsin picks her up, and they drive to Brody's apartment to collect him. He's wearing a suit, armor of his own. Ready? Tamsin asks. No, they both answer. Good, me neither. They drive to Dr. Philomena's office in silence. The building is modern, glass and steel, The kind of place that's supposed to feel safe but just feels cold. The waiting room is empty, except for one man sitting in the corner, head bowed, hands clasped like prayer. Rich. He looks up when they enter. His face, oh, his face. It's aged decades in 5 years. Grey hair, deep lines, eyes that carry weight that wasn't there before. He stands immediately, then seems to realize he doesn't know if he's allowed to approach them. "Hi," he says. Just that. No sweetheart, no kids, no assumption of intimacy he hasn't earned. "Hi," Brody echoes, his voice tight. Tamsin just nods. Can't speak yet. Nosa looks at this man who destroyed her and feels nothing. Not love, not hate. Just a vast, empty space where 20 years used to live. Dr. Philomena emerges from her office, a black woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair and eyes that miss nothing. "Come in, all of you." The therapy room has a circle of chairs. No couch, no desk, nothing to hide behind. They sit, and the space between them feels like an ocean. Dr. Philomena doesn't waste time. "You all know why you're here. Rich, the floor is yours. Say what you need to say." He opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Finally, "I'm sorry. That's not enough. I know it's not enough, but it's true. I destroyed everything beautiful in my life. I hurt the people I love most in the world. And I did it on purpose, over years, with calculation and cruelty." Tears stream down his face, but he doesn't wipe them away. Just sits in his pain, letting them see it. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking you to understand. I just need you to know I see what I did. All of it, every piece of damage. And I'm spending my life trying to make sure no one else becomes what I was." Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. Then Tamsin leans forward, and 5 years of pain explodes from her like a broken dam. Chapter 9. The room where it breaks. The therapy room smells like lavender and old pain, and when Tamsin Edward Foley finally speaks, her voice cuts through the silence like shattered glass through skin. "I tried to die because of you." The words hang in the air. Rich's face crumbles, but she's not done. 5 years of agony pouring out in a flood that can't be stopped. "I'm 21 years old, and I'm terrified of being touched, because every time someone gets close, I see you and her in my bed, where I was supposed to feel safe. Do you understand what you stole from me?" Her voice rises, shaking with rage and grief. "You didn't just cheat on Mom. You invaded my sanctuary and turned it into a place where nightmares live. I scrubbed that floor until my hands bled, and I could still see you, still see everything." Rich is weeping openly now, but doesn't speak. Just witnesses her pain. "I'm in therapy twice a week. Take medication to sleep without screaming. I can't have relationships because I don't trust anyone who says they love me. You taught me that love is just the costume predators wear while they destroy you." Tamsin's whole body shakes. "I swallowed a bottle of pills, Dad. Did you know that? I wanted to stop existing because the images in my head wouldn't stop, and I didn't know how to live with them." "That's what you did. You made your own daughter want to die." She's sobbing now, gulping air between words. Nosa reaches for her hand, but Tamsin pulls away. She needs to finish this, needs him to hear everything. "I'm studying psychology now, learning about trauma, about how the brain processes betrayal. And you know what I learned? That what you did to me was a form of violence. Not physical, but just as devastating. You violated my space, my trust, my entire concept of safety. And the worst part," her voice drops to a whisper, "the absolute worst part is that I loved you, worshipped you, thought you were the best man in the world. And you let me believe that while you were destroying everything." Rich tries to speak. Tamsin cuts him off. "No, you don't get to respond yet. I'm not done." He nods, tears streaming, hands trembling in his lap. "I had to learn how to eat again. Had to relearn how to sleep, how to function, how to exist in the world. Basic things that normal people take for granted. Because you broke something fundamental inside me. And I don't know if it can be fixed. I don't know if I'll ever be whole." Dr. Philomena's voice is gentle. Tamsin, that's enough for now. Give your brother space. Brody has been silent, his face white, his breathing shallow. When he speaks, his voice is so quiet they have to lean forward to hear. You made me betray Mom. 5 words, devastating in their simplicity. I was 19, still your son. Still believed you were a good man. And you turned me into your accomplice. Brody's voice cracks. You made me keep your secret. Told me I was protecting Mom by not telling her. Made me believe that lying to her was an act of love. He looks directly at Rich for the first time. I've thought about killing myself, Dad, multiple times. Because I look in the mirror and I see you. Your eyes, your jaw, your face, and I hate myself for it. I hate that I carry your DNA. I hate that people say I look like you, because looking like you means looking like the man who destroyed our family. Rich makes a sound. Half sob, half groan, but Brody continues. I got into fights. Did you know that? Ended up in court because I couldn't control my rage. Every time I saw a man mistreating a woman, I saw you. And I wanted to destroy him the way you destroyed us. My therapist says I have PTSD. That being your accomplice traumatized me almost as much as what you did to Mom. He stands suddenly, paces, can't sit still with this much pain in his body. I'm getting married. To a woman who's kind and patient and loves me despite the mess I am. And I'm terrified every single day that I'll turn into you. That I'll hurt her the way you hurt Mom. That your sickness lives inside me, and one day it'll wake up and I'll become the monster you were. Rich drops to his knees, actually falls from his chair onto the floor, his face in his hands. No, God, no. Brody, listen to me. I'm not done. Brody's voice rises to a shout. You don't get to comfort me. You don't get to make this better. Dr. Philomena intervenes. Rich, let him finish. You agreed to this. Rich nods, stays on his knees, his whole body shaking with sobs he's trying to contain. Brody's voice drops again, becomes eerily calm. I work at a domestic violence shelter now. Community service at first, but I stayed because I needed to understand what you did. Needed to sit in rooms with women who survived men like you. And you know what I learned? He looks at his father on the floor. I learned that I'm nothing like you. That being manipulated doesn't make me a manipulator. That I was a victim too, not just an accomplice. But it took 5 years of therapy and working with survivors to understand that. 5 years of my life spent recovering from what you did to me. His voice breaks completely. I want you at my wedding, Dad. I want my father there when I get married. But I don't know if you're my father anymore. I don't know if the man who destroyed us is the same man sitting here now. And I don't know if wanting you there makes me weak, or if it makes me someone who's brave enough to believe in second chances. Silence. The kind that presses against your eardrums. Nosa hasn't spoken yet. She's been watching Rich, studying his reactions, trying to determine if this grief is real or performed. She knows manipulation now, studied it, learned the tells. She doesn't see performance. She sees genuine devastation. But devastation isn't enough. Regret isn't transformation. My turn, she says quietly. Everyone looks at her. This woman who held them all together while falling apart herself. This woman who worked double shifts and finished her residency and learned to smile again. This woman who survived. I need to ask you something, Rich, and I need the truth. Complete honesty, even if it destroys you. He looks up from the floor, his face ravaged by tears. Anything. Did any of it mean anything? Her voice is steady despite the earthquake inside her chest. Our wedding day when you cried during the vows. When I was in labor with Brody and you held my hand for 18 hours. When my father died and you held me through the night. When you gave me that necklace and said, to my forever. She pauses, gathering courage for the question that's haunted her for 5 years. Was any of it real? Or was our entire marriage just a performance while you waited for something better to come along? Rich is silent for so long she thinks he won't answer. Then till it was real, all of it, every moment. His voice is raw, scraped clean of any pretense. I loved you more than I knew how to love, more than I'd ever loved anyone. You are the best person I've ever known. Brilliant and kind and patient with my mother when she was dying, patient with me when I was impossible, patient with everything. He wipes his face with shaking hands. But I loved myself more. That's the sickness. I loved you, genuinely loved you, and still chose to hurt you because I loved my ego, my needs, my wants, more than I loved your well-being. That's what makes it so terrible. The love was real, but it wasn't enough to stop me from being selfish. Nosa absorbs this. It's somehow worse than if he'd never loved her at all. Because it means love isn't enough. Means you can love someone and still destroy them. The man who loved you did exist, Rich continues. He was just buried under so much entitlement, so much selfishness, so much ego, that he couldn't breathe. I suffocated him. And you and our family. You deserved so much better than what I gave you. Yes, Nosa agrees simply. I did. More silence. Dr. Philomena lets it sit, lets them all process. Finally, Rich speaks again. Can I say something? Not as a defense, just as truth. Dr. Philomena nods. Tamsin, you're right. What I did was violence. Psychological terrorism. And I can't fix it. But you need to hear this. You looking like me doesn't make you like me. He looks at Brody. Having my face doesn't mean carrying my sickness. You're not me. You're a good man who was hurt by a bad one. That's all. Brody sobs. Just breaks down completely. Rich continues, still on his knees. I've spent 5 years trying to become different, not to earn you back. I know that's impossible. Just so the world has one less person like me in it. I work at shelters, counsel young fathers, speak at high schools, post videos warning people not to become what I was, not for redemption, just because it's the only good thing I can do. He looks at each of them in turn. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm just asking if we can exist in the same room sometimes. If maybe years from now, we can have family dinners where we're not family anymore, but we're not enemies either. Just people who share history. Tamsin and Brody look at their mother. She's the one who has to answer this. Nosa takes a breath. I will never love you again. Rich nods. I know. I will never trust you. We will never be what we were. I know. But the word hangs. For our children, we can try to exist in the same space. Maybe have family dinners eventually. Be co-parents who respect each other's existence. Nothing more? His face breaks with relief and something else. Not hope exactly, just gratitude for the smallest mercy. That's more than I deserve, he whispers. Thank you. I'll spend the rest of my life being worthy of even this. Tamsin wipes her face with the back of her hand. 1 dinner a month, with my therapist present at first. If you say anything manipulative, we're done. I understand. Brody nods slowly. Same. And you're coming to my wedding. But you sit in the back. You don't walk me down the aisle. That's Mom's job now. You don't give a speech. You just sit there and witness that I found love, despite what you taught me about it. I'll be there, however you need me to be. Dr. Philomena speaks for the first time in a while. This is good work, hard work, but good. I want to see all of you again next month. Same time, we'll process how this first meeting went and decide on next steps. They stand. The movement feels strange, mechanical. Nosa gathers her purse, her children flanking her like guards. Rich stays where he is on his knees until they reach the door. Then his voice stops them. I love you all, I always did. I just didn't know how to show it. I'm learning now. Finally. Nosa turns back one last time. Looks at this man who destroyed her, who spent 5 years trying to become something better. Love isn't what you feel, Rich. It's what you do. Remember that. I will. They walk out together, not a family restored, but broken people who've chosen healing over hatred. In the parking lot, Tamsin suddenly wraps her arms around her mother and sobs. Brody joins them and they stand there, the three of them holding each other while the world moves around them. "Did we do the right thing?" Tamsin asks. "I don't know," Nosa admits, "but we did the brave thing. That's enough for today." Leighton is waiting at Nosa's apartment when she gets home. Takes one look at her face and pulls her close without asking questions, just holds her while she shakes. "How do you feel?" he finally asks. "Empty, full, broken, whole, I don't know, everything at once." "That's normal." "Is any of this normal?" "No, but you survived it. That's what matters." That night, Nosa dreams about the anniversary party again. But this time, when the glass shatters, she doesn't freeze. She walks out with her head high, her children beside her, and when she looks back, Rich is alone in an empty ballroom, finally understanding what he's lost. She wakes feeling something she hasn't felt in 5 years, not peace exactly, but the possibility of it, somewhere in the distance, waiting. Chapter 10. The Beginning, After the End. Sometimes healing doesn't look like happiness. It looks like broken people choosing to exist in the same room without destroying each other further. And maybe that's the bravest form of love. The first dinner happens 6 weeks later. Neutral territory, a quiet restaurant where nobody knows them. Tamsin arrives with Dr. Larkin. Brody brings Esme, who squeezes his hand under the table. Nosa comes alone. Leighton offered to join, but she needed to do this without armor. Rich is already there when they arrive, sitting in the corner booth looking terrified. He's wearing a simple shirt, nothing fancy. Doesn't want to seem like he's trying too hard. When they slide into the booth, he doesn't stand, doesn't reach for hugs, just nods. "Thank you for coming." The meal is awkward, stilted, long silences punctuated by careful small talk. Tamsin asks about his work. He describes the shelter, the counseling, the speaking engagements. Doesn't embellish. Doesn't make himself sound heroic. Just states facts. Brody talks about graduate school, about his research on family trauma. Rich listens without offering advice, without trying to parent. Just listens. Halfway through, Tamsin excuses herself to the bathroom, comes back with red eyes but steady hands. "This is harder than I thought." "We can leave," Nosa offers. "No, I need to do this." She looks at Rich. "Tell me about Mom's necklace, the one you gave her that morning." Rich's face goes pale. "The pearls? Did you mean it? When you said, 'to my forever'?" "Yes, I meant it. I just didn't understand what forever required, didn't understand that forever means choosing someone, even when it's hard, even when something shiny and new tempts you. I failed at forever, but the intention was real." Tamsin nods slowly, processing. "I needed to know, needed to understand if anything was real. The love was real. I was just too broken to sustain it." They eat in silence for a while. Then Brody asks, "Do you still have Mom's old recipe book, the one from her grandmother?" Rich looks stricken. "I gave it to your Aunt Adeyemi. Thought you'd want it kept safe. Can I have it back for Esme? She wants to learn Mom's cooking." "I'll get it to you this week." These small exchanges, asking about objects, sharing tiny pieces of life, feel monumental, like rebuilding a house one brick at a time, never sure if the foundation will hold. When the check comes, Rich reaches for it. Nosa stops him. "We split it, equal." "But equal. We're not family anymore. We're just people sharing a meal." He nods, accepts this new reality. Outside, as they're saying goodbye, Tamsin does something unexpected. She hugs him, brief, stiff, but real. "See you next month," she says. Rich breaks down in the parking lot after they leave, just stands. Beside his car weeping because his daughter touched him, and it's more than he deserves, more than he dared hope for. Months pass. Dinners become easier, less fraught. Brody's wedding approaches. Rich helps from a distance, contributes financially without being asked, never inserts himself into planning. The day arrives, and he sits in the back row exactly as instructed, watching his son marry a good woman who treats him with kindness. When Brody and Esme exchange vows, Rich weeps quietly, not for himself, for the joy of witnessing his son break the cycle, choose better, become the man Rich never was. At the reception, Tamsin approaches him. Want to see the photo booth? Pictures? They look through silly photos of the wedding party, and for a moment it feels almost normal. Almost like they're father and daughter instead of survivor and perpetrator. Thank you for being here, Tamsin says. Brody needed this. Thank you for letting me. She studies his face. You're different, really different. It's strange. I keep waiting for the mask to slip, for the old you to come back. But I think maybe the old you is actually dead. I hope so. That man deserves to stay dead. Nosa watches from across the room, Leighton's arm around her waist. She's wearing blue, her favorite color, one Rich never liked. She's laughing at something Leighton said, genuinely happy in a way she never was with Rich. Rich sees this and feels no jealousy, just relief that she found what she deserved. Before he leaves the reception, he stops by Nosa's table. You look happy. I am. Good. That's, his voice catches. That's all I wanted, for you to be happy again. I know you think this is closure. It's not. I still hate what you did, still carry it every day. I know. But I'm learning that hating you and being happy aren't mutually exclusive. I can do both. That's fair. She looks at him, really looks, the way she used to. You've changed. It doesn't erase anything, doesn't make us family, but you've changed. I'm trying. Keep trying. For the next person you might hurt if you stop. He nods, leaves, drives home to his small apartment where he's alone, but no longer lonely, because loneliness was about missing what he destroyed, and he's finally accepted he doesn't get to have it back. Years pass. Not quickly. Each one earned through consistency, through showing up, through never asking for more than he's given. Tamsin finishes her degree, opens a practice specializing in family trauma. She invites Rich to the opening. He sits in the back, watches her speak about healing, about survival, about how damage doesn't have to be permanent. Brody and Esme have a baby, a daughter. They name her after Nosa's mother, a choice that makes everyone cry. Rich meets her when she's 3 months old, holds her with shaking hands, whispers, I'll never let anyone hurt you, I promise. Nosa eventually marries Leighton in a small ceremony. Rich isn't invited, that would be too much, but he sends a card. Congratulations, you deserve every happiness. Thank you for showing me what love should look like. She keeps the card, doesn't respond, but she keeps it. The dinners continue, monthly at first, then every few months, then whenever everyone's schedules align. They're not a family, they're something else, something without a name. People bound by shared history who've chosen not to let that history poison their present. Rich continues his work, the shelter, the counseling, the videos. Now he does it not because he's trying to become better, but because it's simply who he is now. The work has become part of his identity, former abuser turned advocate, using his darkness to illuminate the path for others. One evening, Tamsin brings a client to meet him, a teenage girl whose father destroyed her family in similar ways. The girl is angry, broken, convinced she'll never be whole. Rich sits with her. I'm the monster in my family's story. I'm the person who caused the kind of pain you're feeling. And I can't fix what I did. But I can tell you this. Your father's sickness isn't your inheritance. You get to choose who you become. What if I become like him? Then you choose again. Every day. Every moment. That's the work. The girl leaves looking less hopeless. Tamsin stays. That was good. What you said, did it help? Yes, because she needed to hear it from someone like you. Someone who did the damage and can name it honestly. They sit in comfortable silence. Not father and daughter, but not strangers either. Something in between, something earned through years of consistency. I don't forgive you, Tamsin says suddenly. I want you to know that. What you did still haunts me. I still have nightmares, still struggle with intimacy, still carry it. I know, but I'm glad you changed. Glad you're using what you did to help others. It doesn't redeem you, but it matters. That's all I'm asking for it to matter somehow. She leaves, and Rich sits alone in the shelter's common room, surrounded by photos of survivors, and thinks about redemption. How it's not something given, but something built through years of small choices. How you don't earn it, you just work toward it, knowing you might never arrive. His phone buzzes. A text from Brody. Family dinner next month? Esme wants everyone to meet the baby. Everyone. The word sits heavy in Rich's chest. He's not family, but he's included in the gathering of people who share Brody's blood and history. It's not forgiveness. It's not reconciliation. It's not a happy ending, but it's a beginning. Still. Always. Nosa sits in her living room that same night. Leighton reading beside her and thinks about Rich, about the man he was and the man he became, about whether change is real or just a prettier mask on the same monster. She doesn't have answers, just observations. He's been consistent for 7 years now, hasn't asked for forgiveness, hasn't pushed boundaries, hasn't demanded anything. Maybe that's enough, not to forget, not to forgive, just to acknowledge that transformation is possible even if it doesn't erase the past. What are you thinking about? Leighton asks, whether people can change. And, today, I think they can become different. Whether that's change or just evolution, I don't know. But different is something. He kisses her forehead. You're allowed to be happy without understanding everything. I know. And I am happy, finally, genuinely, and she is. Despite the scars, despite the memories that still wake her sometimes. Despite knowing that 20 years of her life were built on lies, she's happy. Because happiness isn't about the absence of pain. It's about choosing joy despite it. Somewhere across the city, Rich sits in his apartment writing letters he'll never send, still, after all these years. Still processing, still trying to understand, still carrying the weight of what he did. He'll carry it forever. That's the price. But he's learned to carry it without drowning, learned to exist in the same world as his victims without demanding their absolution. Learned that some things can't be fixed, only endured. And maybe that's wisdom. Maybe that's growth. Maybe that's as close to redemption as monsters get. The story doesn't end neatly, doesn't wrap up with forgiveness or reconciliation or everyone healed. It ends with broken people choosing to keep breathing. Choosing to exist alongside their damage, choosing small moments of connection over permanent estrangement. It ends with the understanding that healing isn't linear, that forgiveness is optional, that you can acknowledge someone's transformation without absolving their crimes. It ends with possibility, with the radical act of trying, with the brave choice to remain open to change while protecting your scars. Not a happy ending, but an honest one. And sometimes that's the most powerful ending of all.